Hello Stella and the team, Steve Woody here. Hopefully this video finds you all well. I'd just firstly like to say thank you for the meeting today. I appreciate all of your time. One of the things I realised we didn't go through because of the initial meeting and the introductions and talking through some of the conceptual phases of what we would like to cover. I didn't actually take a look at the existing website, which is something I would have loved to have done had we had a little bit more time. So instead, I decided to film this quick 5-10 minute video and just talk over my initial thoughts as if I was a user to this website for the first time, because this is ultimately something that we want to focus on. As I mentioned before, the website is a small part of a bigger picture, and so I really want you to understand that the CRM, the integrations between the different systems and technology, those are very, very important aspects, but also the website for front facing from a customer or a consumer point of view is also very important. So without further ado, my initial thoughts. So St Luke's Hospice, the way that I see St Luke's Hospice can almost be broken down into three areas from what I understand after we talked, and that is, area one is people that need the service, so people who need St Luke's Hospice, people who either have family members or people themselves who want to be admitted or to become residents and to become part of St Luke's Hospice, or to look at the possibility of your services. So that is going to be one group of people. The second group of people are going to be people that want to work with, people that want to volunteer, or people that want to help, or people that want to be in partnership with, or just employed by, or for whatever reason. That's another type and another branch. So you have, I'm going to say, I don't really like the word customers. I don't think customers is the best choice of words for your specific niche. But for the people who are going to be buying your services, just the word that I was using, for customers, staff and volunteers, the second, and the third is going to be the charitable, fundraising, income generating activities that St Luke's does. And so I see those three areas as the main things. Now, with that in mind and with that awareness, when I first come to this website, I see that about 30% of the page when it loads is taken up by a very big logo and a big headline. Almost too much. There's a lot of space here to be used, and I think that this logo here is far too big. I think it commands the attention when someone lands on the page, and whilst the logo is nice and important to see, it is not the feature here. The feature here should really be on what does the visitor need, and the visitor doesn't really need to see the logo. Okay, that's a nice thing, but it's not that important. So that could be reduced probably about 75%. I know that the reason it is so big is so that you can see the image, and it is a beautiful image. But with the rebrand, hopefully you'll get a much more up-to-date logo that's going to really help to make that smaller, so it's not commanding so much attention. The second thing I would say is regarding social media. I would remove the social media links from the top here, and the reason I would do that is because when somebody comes to visit your website, they visit your website for a reason. If they are on your website and I then click on Facebook, what would then happen is I might get distracted. I see a message from Aunt Sally, I then respond, and all of a sudden I've completely forgot I was on the St Luke's website, and I close it down. You could potentially lose interest from people or attention from people by distracting them, by sending them to social media. And so for that reason, I think social media is good to have in the footer at the bottom of the page, but not at the top. When they're on the website, let's keep them on the website. We want them here for a reason, and let's not send them somewhere else. So I would remove that. Also, I feel like this search bar, it could use something, maybe a placeholder text here to help them to understand what they might be searching for. And I think this search bar could also be moved into the menu here. I think rather than having a big open search bar, you could simply have a little magnifying glass. If they click on it, opens up the search parameters with maybe a description that says click here and for a search, and maybe even give them an example of something they can search for. That would be a much better space and from a usability point of view. I feel like that would help. And that would also change this whole headline. You could move all of this onto one line. You could have the logo, which will have St. Luke's built into it, or St. Luke's logo with St. Luke's Hospice, Basil and Thurrock, telephone. And that there would then reduce this space to where about my cursor is. And you would lose about 75% of this opening retail space would then be reduced, giving you much more space to be able to impact the user with what they need to see. So then moving forward, the very first thing I see if I read from left to right is an advert. The advert is one response, support, assessment and advice services. I don't know if this is a St. Luke's service or whether this is a third-party service. But I don't feel like this is necessarily the most important thing that they see as the first thing when they land on the page. I think that maybe this could be used elsewhere for now, and I think that it's important to understand that. And also our satellite centre, St. Luke's House. So I would really want to look at this section. Also, I noticed that if I was to refresh this page, this is a rotating image. And it's factually proven that rotating images don't work because most people don't get to see the second or third image. Now, these are moving quite quickly. And so the downside to that is that I don't get to focus on. I'm like, okay, welcome. So service users. Okay, what is this? Do I click on this? Oh, no, it's gone. Okay, fundraising. Can I? Oh, I can't. Oh, no, it's gone. And I'm saying this in I'm exaggerating the experience, but at the same time, there are too many things. I don't get to process and I don't get to look through this at my pace. I'm looking through it at your pace. And this is about what you want me to experience and not what I should be experiencing. So I would much rather have one thing here, one thing, and even tying in this menu structure here, so that when I click on this, it will change the image and I have the ability to focus on what I want to focus on. So these things here, I would have as the sub-headlines here, and when I click on these, it would change this image and give me some information about it. I think right now there are too many options, and right now, I'm left to fend for myself. I have to learn how to use this site on my own with no guidance. And that's a very overwhelming thing. And for somebody that could be stressed, that could be dealing with a loved one who's potentially dying, the last thing you want to do is cause them additional stress and additional worry and additional overwhelm. So we need to look to make this as calming, as inviting, as clean and as simple as possible. And that is very important from the user experience. I think there are too many options within the menu here. I think this can definitely be consolidated to make it less overwhelming. It can also be spaced out better. And even hovering over these, there are a lot of services and a lot of things. And just this text here, there's a lot. And so some better spacing, some better design just in terms of separating these out a little bit better. And also just looking at the options and what's available here. I think this is something that needs to be looked at in greater detail, and something that we can look at but will take a bit of time, and obviously is not something that can be done through a quick review, but this is definitely something that I think that this sidebar here and this top bar here, it needs some real thought, some sessions where we can go through and understand the structure of the site so that we serve the best information in the best way possible to the people that need it at that moment in time. And I think that this space here primarily should be used for: do you need our services? Would you like to join us? How you can support us? And so I think that's important. So I think those three things should be the core focus here. And however that's done, I think that should be done in a clean and simple way. Remove these and use them later. Remove these, remove this, and have this whole section here with just those three elements they can choose between. As we scroll down, I understand here there's different opportunities and different things. This is where I feel like these two would fit in better. Help us with a donation, join a lottery, fundraising events. Again, it's quite busy. There's a lot here. And I think that this can maybe be separated a little bit more to give just a little bit of separation. I think maybe turn these into a 3 or keeping them as 4 maybe. But I think just a little bit more spacing between them, just a little bit more room to breathe, a bit like the gaps that we have here, maybe have 3 on a line and have 9. Having 8 does work, and it is better for the visibility, I understand that, but also keep some consistency. This image, and this image are different. This one's red, whereas these ones are blue, and so there's some consistency, but not too much, and it's a little bit distracting. Also, there's a nice call to action here, 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 and here, but not here, here, and here. So I really want to see some consistency in the design, where we're using either use images or use text, but I think mixing them is maybe a mistake. Maybe what you can do here is keep these 4 in one line with the 3 or 4 images on the second line. So again, there's consistency within the separation, if that makes sense. So blue, dark blue, light blue, dark blue, light blue on the top line, and then maybe red and the 3 images on the second line would be a better use of this space. And also just looking and making sure that we're directing people in the best way possible. And this, and what these icons and these images represent, will determine, it will be dependent on how the navigation for the top and side menu is adjusted. That being said, I think the footer is absolutely fine. I think you've got some important information here. I would like to make this telephone number clickable. It's a simple thing that we can do. Some other things to consider as well there, but definitely some things to look through and consider there. But overall, not bad. A good initial looking site, just overwhelming with a lot of options and no clear directions. So just some things that I would really like you to consider. And also there's a select language here that does nothing, so it's a little bit pointless having that on there. I would remove it. I don't think it serves a purpose. So some things to consider, just as an initial look. Overall, I hope this helps and gives you some things to think about as we move forward. Obviously a lot more to talk about, but for a first session, hopefully useful. And I look forward to speaking to you all soon.